Hello and welcome to the third annual State of Movies address, where we close out the year before, talk a little about where things are going, and then at the end I do my annual collection update, something I look forward to all year. Overall, I'd say 2024 was a change in the wind. The biggest takeaway is that the madness of the last several years seems to have quieted down, or at least taken on a new dimension. I can't really say the culture war is the greatest threat to the state of movies anymore. I'm not going to say we're home free, but if 2022 was the turn of the tide, and 2023 was the year of Hollywood's greatest fears realized, being ignored, then 2024 is the year that Hollywood has admitted defeat. It's the year Hollywood stopped pretending everything was okay. You know, in the movies when the bad guy admits defeat and then tries to backstab the hero one last time? 2024 was admitting defeat. What's next is the inevitable attempt at backstabbing. The culture war is won. The voice of the people finally, firmly, they stand united against wokeness, but wokeness will not go quietly. That I can guarantee. They'll pretend, but, just like in the movies.
As you wish, Your Majesty.
It started at the tail end of 2023 when the streaming bubble was just starting to burst. I considered covering that in last year's State of Movies, but I wanted to see it play out more first, and it did play out the way I hoped. Since about 2010, everybody wanted their own subscription-based streaming service, and since about 2021, the cracks have really been starting to show. Then the bubble finally burst, and even the major players had to admit it's not a good model. Disney, Amazon, and Netflix all put ads on their services, and two of them started cracking down hard on passwords. You don't do that if you're making money hand over fist. The message was clear. Streaming is not as profitable as they were pretending it was. We already knew that, but the point is they actually stopped pretending. Since then, DEI loans from BlackRock and Vanguard have become common knowledge, and corporations have actually begun to respond to the customer again instead of Daddy BlackRock. Even Disney was all set to make Riley gay in Inside Out 2, but seems to have dropped that thread at the last minute. Companies that persist in nosediving even harder into wokeness are now openly, quickly, and viciously mocked for it, as we saw with Jaguar. We even started to see legacy media headlines decrying the era of wokeness. From The Telegraph, Hollywood's great unwokening has been unleashed. Note they claim Civil War as an example of post-woke. Sure. From the New York Times, is the awkward diversity era of Hollywood behind us? This article goes on to suggest that wokeness was something we all got swept up in, and that wokeness was popular at one point or another. Wokeness was never popular. Both of these headlines are acknowledgments of the failures of wokeness, but then the body of each article, it serves as basically a retraction of its own headline. It's the kid who knows he's in trouble, so he makes the most token apology and then justifies to high heaven. They also want to put you at ease. Both articles suggest this era is behind us. It's not. We're just at the end of it. They want you to go back to the good old days when they could sneak things into movies without being called out like that. And interestingly enough, both of these articles came to us after November 5th. I wonder what happened that day that would make them think that wokeness is unpopular. But the fact they were even printed says a lot about 2024. Hollywood is trying to save face with the public. Now, they're insincere as ever, and they will continue to lash out as certainly as the day will dawn. But like I said, it's hard to say the culture war is even a threat anymore. The greatest threat to the state of movies now is Hollywood reframing the culture war. The greatest threat is them getting you to forget what happened here. The culture war was a Marxist apparatus in operation for decades, had no choice but to escalate after Trump's 2016 victory, and it was designed to take down Western civilization usher in the New World Order where you will eat the bugs, live in the pods, and own nothing and be happy. Although the culture war is won, we are all honor-bound to remember these days and make the reality of them known for generations to come, because evil and conspiring men will always use the same tricks. The culture war returning among a population that does not know what happened here, that is now the greatest threat to the state of movies. It wasn't that bad. That will be their battle cry now. They will do anything to get you to think it wasn't that bad. Watch. Now, with Hollywood on its backside in 2024, it was kind of a lull for movies. The closest thing we had to anything really special was Dune Part 2, which was very well done, but I have no special love for it. After all the surprises of 2023, 2024 just felt so quiet. They're confused. They're trying to read the terrain. But after 15 years of reading nothing but the terms of DEI loans, they're going to be confused for a while. Bottom line, I don't think we'll see consistently good films again until at least 2027. Movie news is also very quiet. There's only two things I want to cover, and the first is actually the absence of news. 2025 will be the first odd-numbered year without a Fast and Furious movie since 2007, and that makes me sad. Fast X's poor performance is to blame. The only bit of actual movie news is very recent. Last month, the Wall Street Journal ran an article on Amazon and James Bond. A couple of years ago, Amazon bought MGM, so they have virtually all the distribution rights to the James Bond films. The creative rights stay with Barbara Broccoli and her stepbrother Michael Wilson, and the article said that Barbara and Amazon are not getting along, so Bond is stuck. James Bond is on an unusually long break. The last movie was in 2021, and there has been zero consequential news whatsoever until now, assuming it's true. Us Bond fans didn't know it was taking so long. Many assumed Barbara was disinterested and didn't want to make Bond fans anymore. I always assumed/hoped that her and Michael were waiting out the culture war, that there were outside influences that wanted to make Bond woke, and they were trying to outlast them. If the article is true, I was right. The Wall Street Journal is very sympathetic to Amazon's position. Shocker, that they want to bring Bond into the future and update the franchise. We all know what that means. Bond fans are with Barbara, who reportedly referred to the Amazon execs as bleeping idiots. My personal opinion is that the article is probably true and probably willed into existence by Amazon, who thought the article would break the stalemate in favor of them. Jennifer Salke is allegedly the Amazon executive in charge of overseeing their vision for Bond, and she is exactly the type of tone-deaf lunatic who would think such an article would result in breaking the stalemate in their favor. She oversaw Rings of Power. Galadriel and Rings of Power is her self-insert. Yep. And she thought she could get Barbara to do things Amazon's way. It's almost as ridiculous as when Netflix tried to get Christopher Nolan. Ever since Skyfall, the Bonds have been prestige films, very handcrafted and bespoke. Amazon is a content factory driven by algorithms. Jennifer Salke is blind to the difference. According to the article, the origin of all this friction is when Jennifer Salke used the word content to refer to Bond movies. And yes, a few years ago, the Netflix CEO publicly tried to get Christopher Nolan to make his next movie with them. That's like trying to get a vegetarian to work at a butcher shop. If you don't know, Nolan shoots on film, he shoots for IMAX, and he is the loudest industry voice in support of theaters and physical media. Everything Netflix stand against. But this executive, all he knew about Nolan was that the kids like his movies. So anyway, when will we get another Bond film? Don't know. On to the collection update. First, some quick stats. I watched 215 movies in 2024. 7 of those were in the theater. The Shift. This movie was really weird until you realize it's supposed to be sci-fi Job. The Lord of the Rings extended editions. I had something really special happen. My brother and I got to go see all 3 extended editions back to back to back, 3 nights in a row on the largest theater screen in the state. It was amazing. It was a packed house full of mega fans, and I'm never going to forget it. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I have a soft spot for the first one, and I kind of enjoyed the second one. Fall Guy. This was the first movie that my wife and I saw in theaters as a married couple. Twisters. My wife really liked the original and wanted to go see the other one. It was a good time, very exciting. 98 of the 215 were first-time views that I'd never seen before. Some highlights there include Drunken Angel, which is the 15th Kurosawa movie I've ever seen. Always a pleasure to see a new Kurosawa movie. Ben-Hur. I don't know why it took me so long, but my favorite part about it, well, obviously the chariot race, but my other favorite part about it was all the little influences that were very, very apparent influences on the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Sorcerer. This is a movie from 1977 I had never heard of, and it's amazing, and it's also a perfect cross between Aguirre, The Wrath of God.
Das ist kein Schiff. Das ist kein Wald. Das ist kein Pfeil.
And the Top Gear Bolivia special.
You brought the wrong car.
Lawrence of Arabia. Wow. I didn't love the story that much, but pretty much everything else in that movie was dialed up to 11 on a scale of 1 to 10. Solaris. If I gave out an award for the movie that sticks with you the longest after seeing it, Solaris. The first three Godzilla movies, Godzilla Raids Again, and King Kong vs. Godzilla, I got excited by Godzilla -1 and started watching those. And Dune Part 2, which I didn't see in theaters, but I did see, and I enjoyed it, and it's probably the best movie of 2024. Out of the 215, one was on 4K. That was X-Men Apocalypse, borrowed from a family member. 7 were in theaters. We talked about those. 37 on DVD. 73 were streamed. And 97 were on Blu-ray. 41 items joined my collection in 2024, which is a lot. It's mostly from getting married. Yes, I got married in 2024. Congratulations to me. She's wonderful. So our collections have become our collection, and you'll probably be able to guess a lot of the ones that came from her. Barbie in the Nutcracker. She says this is her favorite Barbie movie, and yes, I have watched it with her. Barbie 10 movie classic princess collection. I got this for her a while. Oh, I got the other one for her too. I got this for her a little bit ago. I think I've seen 2 or 3 of them. Maybe just 2 of them. Anyway, I've seen a couple of them. With her because I love her. Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. Can you guess which ones came from her so far? On the Waterfront. This is the one I teased you about last year at the end of the collection update that was on its way. My only Criterion movie that is not a Kurosawa movie. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. We already talked about this one. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. I also got this for my wife a few years ago. Mulan. So one thing I didn't talk about within the movie news section was Disney's collapse, and part of that was that the Disney Movie Club, or whatever it was called, died. And so all those exclusives became available for Disney Movie Insiders, which, as you know, I'm a big fan of. But then that died. But before that died, we did get a hold of Mulan. It's a favorite for both of us. R.I.P. Disney Movie Insiders. 10,000 BC. This is one that I just picked up from my friend. Field of Dreams. My wife bought this before we got married. She really likes it. Freaky Friday. I bought this one day because I know my wife loves it and I love it, and I think it's genuinely quite a good movie. Free Guy. I bought this one for my wife a few years ago. Castle in the Sky. This was a Christmas gift from my mother-in-law. Kiki's Delivery Service was also a Christmas present from my mother-in-law. This movie's kind of special to my wife and I. When Marnie was there, comes from my wife's collection. It's a Studio Ghibli film I've never seen. Gifted Hands. My wife likes this movie. I had seen it. Anyway, we bought it one day. You, and you. Godzilla -1. which is a Christmas present from my parents. Thank you. It's not technically my first 4K because I unwrapped another one first. We'll get to that in a minute. But best movie of 2023. Very looking forward to watching it. I love this movie. Gone with the Wind. This is from my wife's collection. I think I bought it for her birthday or Christmas one year, a few years ago. Halloween Town 1 and 2. This is something she grew up with that she's introduced me to. The Haunted Mansion. I got this for her one year. It's a Halloween favorite of both of ours. I think it's really great. The Iron Giant. I was actually with her when she bought this from Best Buy one year. The Land Before Time was a Christmas present for her. Last Holiday, another movie I got for her that she really loves and I have come to really love. I think it's an outstanding movie. Material Girls. This is one of hers that I have never seen. The original Nancy Drew movie mystery collection. This includes 4 Nancy Drew movies from the 1930s. Onward, another one that I got for her a few years ago. The Prince of Egypt, just another favorite of hers that she bought one day. Now we get to share it together. Ready Player One, another one that I got for her years ago. 27 Dresses. This actually came to me a couple years ago in that box of movies from my friend, from which I adopted several. I gave this one to my wife, and now we're married, so now it's back. In My Dreams, this is some random Hallmark movie she enjoys. She has pretty good taste in romance movies. I like it anyway, so I'm sure I'll see it eventually. The Inheritance. This is an old TV movie from the 90s, which turns out there are some good ones. The Makeover, another Hallmark movie she has shown me. It's all right. My Big Fat Greek Wedding is another one that came to me in that box from a friend I gave to her and now is ours. Wedding Every Weekend is another random Hallmark movie. This one I actually bought for her. Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so she likes this one. I've always liked the BBC miniseries version. I finally watched this version, and I can now definitively say I definitely like the BBC version better. The Santa Claus 2. I already have the Santa Claus, the original, on Blu-ray. I got her this one, I think, in 2023 for Christmas when we were engaged. Of course, the Santa Claus 3 I also got her that year. I had never seen these two. She loves them, so now I have seen them. The Sound of Music, another one, I think the last one where I got her this years ago. I had the digital copy already, and now they're back together. The 10 Commandments on 4K. This was truly the first 4K that I ever had because I opened it first. This was a Christmas present from my father-in-law. Thank you. White Christmas. This movie and Holiday Inn I have had confused in my mind for about the last 10 years. This last Christmas I finally found out which is which. Found out that we like this one and we don't like the other one. And because my mother-in-law has the Blu-ray, she gave us the DVD. Wonka, one of my favorites from 2023. This was a birthday present from my wife. And last but not least, I think, is Zathura. Another one came from her collection. And it turns out, out of every movie that I own, the specific copies that I own, this one here, the anniversary edition of Zathura, it turns out is the most valuable when it comes to resale. I almost forgot one of my favorite new editions. Star Trek The Original Series in this gorgeous steelbook set. Normally I don't like steelbooks, I kind of hate them, but these are just so stunning and beautiful that I can't help but love them. And each season has a different color, as you see. It's just the most beautiful Blu-ray steelbook set that I've ever seen, I think. This concludes the collection update. Next video, we continue with the Bond vs. Bond, the first outing series with Timothy Dalton and the Living Daylights. Check out the Season 1 playlist to catch up on that. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. These are some of my favorite videos to make, and I look forward to it all year. I do have a State of Movies and Collection Update playlist if you've enjoyed this and want to check that out. Also, I've been very active on Letterboxd as of last year, and will continue to be so in the future. If you want to follow me there, there's a link in the description. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.